I just want to let you know fate can move mountains and Patel can remove corrupt people.
Don't get me wrong.
President-elect Donald Trump has just nominated Kash Patel for director of the FBI. Trump made the announcement on Truth Social just moments ago. During Trump's first term, Patel served as the chief of staff at the Department of Defense. So, Charlie, not too long ago, Donald Trump said that Kash's new book, talking about how he's going to completely eradicate the deep state and also firings at the top ranks of the FBI would sort of be the blueprint for what he would want to do in his new administration. I mean, the deep state needs cleaning. The Department of Justice and the FBI also need some firings and some reform as well. So what do you think he'd be able to accomplish as FBI director?
Yeah, well, obviously, Kash Patel has a unique observation and history with the FBI. He has been on all sides of the FBI. He, working for Devin Nunes in Congress, of course, had oversight of the FBI and made life difficult for them. But that was, of course, before he realized just how corrupt the FBI is. He's also been a target of the FBI, and the reason he was a target of the FBI is because he pressured the release of information exposing that the FBI had illegally spied on President Trump's campaign and during his presidency.
I think he is a perfect choice, not because he's smart, because nobody cares about that on the left sometimes. No, because he's an Indian American. That should be enough, right? Unless suddenly he becomes black like Kamala.
My nigga.
But let's focus on the strategic reason why he should be FBI director. Number one, James Comey, not good. Ray, the one right now, not good. And he is good because he really wants to drain the swamp.
It is time to drain the swamp.
I mean, now that Trump is president, why would you want Director Ray, being the director of FBI that went to your house, went into your wife's panties to look for hidden documents?
I can explain.
Yeah, I was taking that very personal because you didn't do it to Biden when he did the exact same thing. And here's the official thing. I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, American first fighter, that's amazing already, 3 things, who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering Russia hoax, gangsters, standing as an advocate for truth, accountability, and constitution. Kash did an incredible job during the first term, where he served as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and Senior Director of Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. Kash has also tried over 60 jury trials. This FBI will end the growing crime epidemic in America, dismantling the migrant criminal gangs, and stop the evil scourge of human and drug trafficking across the border. Kash will work under a great Attorney General, Pam Bondi, oh my god, they're gonna get it, to bring back fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the FBI. If you don't think he has the smarts to do this job, hey, at least he got the skin color.
You like that? You like that?
Andrew, I just want to start first with you and just get your reaction to this news tonight.
Yeah, well, it's a terrible development for the men and women of the FBI and also for the nation that depends on a highly functioning, professional, independent Federal Bureau of Investigation. The fact that Kash Patel is profoundly unqualified for this job is not even like a matter for debate. So I think what we should really be thinking about right now is, what does this signal in terms of Donald Trump's intent for the FBI? The installation, or the nomination, I guess we should say at this point, of Kash Patel as FBI director can only possibly be a plan to disrupt, to dismantle, to distract the FBI, and to possibly use it as a tool for the president's political agenda. And, you know, as an organization, we know what that looks like. This country has been there before, right? The pre-Watergate FBI, the J. Edgar Hoover FBI, struck fear in the hearts of Americans across the spectrum of politicians, people in entertainment, people in the civil rights community, because the director operated at the direction of presidents to collect political intelligence and to utilize the legal authorities, the investigative authorities of the FBI to terrorize and intimidate Americans. So the question is that where we're going back to with this nomination? I would argue that Kash Patel would be the perfect person for Donald Trump to nominate if that's in fact his intent for the FBI.
You make it sound as if you people have not disrupted stuff. Interesting.
Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York
we
Post.
have that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
And it's very convenient.
Very convenient.
So when they found out it wasn't disinformation, they still had reason to lower the amount you can see. Interesting. You are not disrupting the popular vote. If you want to talk about who is qualified, you thought Kamala was qualified.
The fact that this is even a seat that we're talking about shows how much Trump is planning on putting his people in. And now this gets to Patel. There's no one less, there's a lot of people less qualified to run the FBI. There is no one the only reason why Trump would have done this pick is for his retribution campaign. There is almost no other reason to explain this. And I know that we have to say, in terms of reporting, well, we'll see what others say, or we'll see what the Republicans do. But everyone who has followed this president-elect and who he wants to put in knows that this particular position and this particular person is being chosen for what is essentially the retribution campaign.
And you're preaching your own fear. You started normalizing this for democracy. But the fact that you did it to one party and not the other party, people are very doubtful. And you're not transparent. There comes a point when you keep failing over and over and you lie over and over. And finally, when we're like, oh my God, the guy is kind of too old. Well, here's the black girl that you need to vote for. We picked her for you. You treat people like they're so dumb.
Is there enough backbone there, do you think, to defeat multiple nominees?
I don't know. I think it's possible. And look, we saw it with Matt Gaetz already, and I think that I was actually surprised how quickly that happened. To me, Kash Patel, and I don't say this lightly, is the most dangerous nominee that we've seen yet to our democracy.
Another one.
Yeah, and you might think that having Pete Hegseth running the military is a greater level of danger because of his lack of experience, or Tulsi Gabbard at intelligence.
Another one.
But just as far as the threats to democracy that we were warning about before the election, and Kash Patel was a key player inside the Trump White House, pushing for and orchestrating the coup attempt in 2020. He was trying to completely take control of the Justice Department at the time. He was Trump's top lieutenant who was willing to do anything and advance any lie in service of his attempt to overturn that last election, to such a degree that there were many people that were Trump appointees in 2020 who were staying around and saying no, like standing in the breach and saying no, not Kash Patel. Like, you cannot put Kash Patel as a temporary leader of the Justice Department, et cetera. These are Trump appointees. And so, we'll see what happens in the Senate. But if Trump had people around him that were quasi-loyalists that were like, that guy's too far, who knows what that'll mean for the Senate.
I just think he's just going to remove the politics from FBI and do what has to be done as an FBI agent. And if he does it correctly, he would clean the left and the right. And secondly, I think he's going to rebuild the trust of the FBI just like we thought they were in the movies. We always placed them on high standard. Like, what was that movie again with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker?
5 minutes later.
Rush Hour. Now, I don't care if I see an FBI agent in a movie because I assume they're evil. The public trust is gone. Or the Epstein list, never revealed. Or certain manifesto of people that killing Christians, hidden. Why? I mean, it's not even political. Just tell the truth. If you're not transparent.
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been hang on, but the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup, minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows.
Just for people who you can't see what's going on in the room, the reason why Kash just said hang on or whatever is because I started smirking and rolling my eyes. And what I meant to convey with that is, come on, we know they were involved.
No, look, I totally
clarify,
agree.
though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know definitively. What I'm saying is a reasonable suspicion is that there were agents. There's a video showing a guy with an earpiece pulling people into the building. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You combine that with the evidence of Ray Epps, and it looks like you have a preponderance of evidence suggesting there may have been federal law enforcement involved in making that thing happen.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt.
All
Two
right.
pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele, Halper, and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you they were there.
So you're saying that she said I can't answer that because the answer is yes, and that would compromise whatever their operation was.
Exactly.
If I told my wife I went to a party and she asked me, did you cheat? I can't say, I can't answer this right now. I'm like, bruh, do you have any idea the message that you're sending to the public? I'm not going to trust you anymore.
Biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
I mean, it makes totally sense. Are you freaking crazy? You just want to get a promotion? You're not really care about the people? I would fire you too. But now let's listen to the most important part.
Give me a break. I couldn't be more excited, I must say.
I'm not saying it's not there. Who are you going to get
get there? For instance, who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book? FBI.
But who? I mean, there's...
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest terrorist, the largest scale terrorist in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list. You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA and we can't even get basic documents out. This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
I'm going to be honest. If somebody says he wants to see the list and he's angry even at the right-winger for not helping release the list, this is the guy at the middle ground. And I really would want him to be the FBI director, and he is.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush, hash, purple, skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, jam, turloqueta, verdetta, welcome.